Well, Rassie Erasmus has been busy. If you haven't seen it, you should probably go watch it. Hour-long video dissecting the officiating of the first test. Talk a little bit about that in this video, like what was it about, some of the missed calls, lopsided treatment of the Springboks, what was the goal of the video, and kind of does it set a dangerous precedent going forward. Obviously, it's going to divide opinions. There will be those who say he's looking like a pretty sad individual right now, whinging and moaning and just can't take a loss, totally sour grapes. And then those will say, yeah, he's genius, absolutely, putting the scrutiny on the officials and the Lions players and kind of getting his own guys out from under the radar. I know it's probably a bit of both. It's generally never that black and white as far as I can see things. It's always usually a bit grey. If an hour is too long for you to go watch it, I watched it late last night right before I was going to go to bed. I was literally getting ready for bed and I saw Rassie Erasmus releases an hour-long video. Oh God, I'm not going to be able to go to sleep for a while. So I watched the video. He makes some fair points. I won't deny him that for sure. And I believe the video is officially leaked. Officially, I don't think it was ever officially distributed, but I think it was meant for like kind of feedback to like the head of referees and whatnot. But Rassie's clearly pretty peed off. Largely, seemingly at the start anyway, because World Rugby have a slow turnaround time for their feedback. And he wants to get action taken on some of the decisions that he saw so he can kind of train the guys for the second test. That seems to be a large kind of point of it. I'll say that's part of the goal, is to provide feedback that it's not good enough to be only getting the official kind of match review on, what did he say, like Tuesday? When he's only got limited amount of training sessions to get with his guys and then take that feedback and pass that feedback on to his players so they can make corrections for the next game. And that's kind of a fair call, man. Like, it seems like World Rugby and the refs, I guess they don't want to work on a Sunday. They want to have a day off. And it's like any government department, right? You try and call them to, I don't know, branch has fallen down from a tree. It's a block in some footpath. You try to get the council to clear it. They're not going to come until, I don't know, a few days later, right, at the earliest. It just seems like that. World Rugby is kind of like that government department attitude that you'll wait, you'll get your report when it's ready, and I don't think Rassie is very happy with that. That's first take on that one. Some of the missed calls which he was referring to, things like late tackles, coming in at the side, holding back players, tip tackles, offsides, not rolling away. A lot of those are kind of general rugby things that happen in every game, and Rassie did mention that if the Lions analysed the game, they would likely find... I don't know if he said likely, but he said someone from the Lions camp could go and see if there was equal offences on the other side, and I'm sure there are. I haven't gone back to watch the game a second time to try and pinpoint any time a Springboks guy was doing something illegal, but as a rugby fan, I kind of accept that happens every game. There's stuff that guys get away with, guys kind of push the limit, and sometimes they get away with it and sometimes they don't. Sometimes the refs warn guys when they could kind of penalise them, right? It's kind of a fluid game. It's, again, not that black and white, The refs kind of sometimes say hands away or things like that instead of just blowing the whistle first time. Often it's refs who do control games really strictly by the letter of the law, where they always blow the whistle happy refs that are the ones that we actually hate. But those are the ones who maybe technically are refereeing by the letter of the law. Often it's guys like Nigel Owens, who's maybe got a little bit more fluidity to the game that we kind of appreciate to watch, right? Maybe guiding the players rather than necessarily refereeing by the letter of the law. So it's a weird one as fans because we want consistency, and if you really wanted consistency, you could tell every ref to ref games exactly how things are and blow every penalty, and then you'd probably have a lot more stop-start games than what we do now. But maybe it would be consistent. I don't know. So yeah, Rassie goes on about a bunch of offences, says that there may be ones for the Lions if they want to do their own homework kind of thing. And yeah, some of them are pretty bad. Some of them are pretty innocuous. You can kind of, take your pick as to which ones are worse than others. Some of them are legit dangerous. Some of them are just, kind of missed calls Rassie's got a little bit of a sarcastic take about the way he says things. You know, when guys are coming in at the side, he's like, if we can do that, that's cool. Kind of like what he said about the Esterhazen tackle, and that he didn't say it in the Esterhazen video where he was training him to tackle high. I think he actually said it in the press conference, basically. If that's allowed, then we should start training our players to do that. So, obviously, he knows it's not allowed, and he's implying that the refereeing team, the officials, should have been able to spot that. So, yeah, he's clearly frustrated at the missed calls. He's frustrated at the turnaround time for the feedback. That's fair. He's also got a bit of a beef with Warren Gatland, and I admit it. Firstly, I think I said it the other day. Did I say it? I can't remember if it was in a YouTube video or a Patreon video. That, like, Warren Gatland kind of started it, and Gatland is like, it's like my children when they get into a fight. Rassie has just kind of slapped back after being initially hit by, Warren moaning about Faf de Klerk's tackle and moaning about the South African appointment of a TMO. Remember, there was initially going to be Pickerel, I've since found out, but Pickerel wasn't able to travel. He's a Kiwi because of the COVID restrictions, so it is Yonka who's South African. Gatland started the whinging and moaning, and it kind of, Rassie has kind of escalated it. So it's like one kid gives the other one a whack when the parents aren't looking, and now there's another one whacking back, and then when you tell the second one off, he's saying, well, he started it. That's kind of how I see it, man, as a guy sitting here in New Zealand. So yeah, I don't think Rassie appreciated Gats bringing that kind of stuff up in the media. Rassie's saying, we would have ordinarily kept quiet about it, but Warren's been doing stuff through the media, so we're going to do the same thing. Social media is media. So yeah, he's annoyed about that. He's annoyed about the missed calls. Lopsided treatment, there's a couple of the things. One of them was the advantage time given to the Lions guys, like 20 plus seconds on an advantage call, 8 seconds to the Springboks, saying that's not fair, it needs to be consistent, and I think he said Nic Berry acknowledged that one. Time being given to the captains when speaking, saying that Alan Wynne-Jones got was able to get a lot more of a word in than Sia Kolisi. Sia Kolisi was kind of sent away, and he highlighted a couple of clips where once Sia suggested something and it was kind of brushed off, laughed off, and then the other one was when I think Matthew Reynald told Sia to kind of back off when Alan Wynne-Jones was kind of hanging about. I seem to remember Nic Berry calling over Sia to have a conversation with him at times. I don't think he was deliberately ignoring him. Maybe Sia does need to be a bit more assertive. I don't know. It's a fine line because some captains get it really well. Richie McCoy had a pretty good knack for it. Kieran Reid never quite had that, from a New Zealand point of view, that same nous for being able to be assertive without being annoying. Like if you look at that last Lions series over here in New Zealand, Kieran Reid trying to point out an error in refereeing kind of got shut down because he was a bit too confrontational about it. Didn't quite have that knack for it. So yeah, it's just a skill, isn't it? But as we move to the goal of this, one of those things is you got to know that Sia Kolisi is going to have a much easier time getting in the refs here this weekend. There's no way Ben O'Keefe doesn't give Sia Kolisi an absolute platform to speak on if he needs it. There's no way he's going to get brushed off. He's certainly going to be allowed to have his piece. And I would say any of the Lions guys, other than Alan Wynne, who try and get in the refs' ear, as Rassie mentioned, kind of international captains like Hogg and Farrell may be kind of sent packing. But certainly the pressure is on the refs to give the captains equal speaking time. The pressure is certainly off the Springboks players. Nobody's talking about the fact that Pollard missed 5 points of kicks. Nobody's talking about the fact they had almost twice the handling errors of the Lions. Nobody's talking about their fitness that much. I mean, I think COVID, surely, a lot of those guys who had COVID seemed to kind of fall short in that second half, right? Andre Pollard went down with cramp. You know, a lot of these guys didn't seem to have the legs, and some of these guys had COVID in recent weeks. So nobody's really talking about that. We're kind of just talking about the officiating. So I would say if that was the goal, job done. Absolutely job done. So yeah, certainly a lot more pressure on the officials for this week. Certainly pressure on the Lions guys who were kind of singled out for infringing. And less pressure, seemingly, on the Springboks players. How the Boks players feel about this is going to be an interesting one as well. Whether they are kind of happy that their coach is sticking up for them, or whether they're a bit embarrassed. I don't know. It can kind of go both ways. People on social media have been highlighting other times, especially from football, when coaches have gone out and had a wee rant and it's kind of backfired. But I don't know that this was as much of a rant as it was a more analytical piece. It was a bit of a hit job on Nic Berry's refereeing. Is it good to have the drama? Does this set a dangerous precedent? Well, I'm sure anybody who was kind of thinking about buying a pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, but if you went on one of the subscription services to watch the British and Irish Lions tour Game 2, you're probably more interested to watch it now. It certainly adds a bit of spice to the second game, that is without doubt. Would it be good to see these kind of reviews week in, week out? Probably not, man. It would get a bit tiring to go through every single game. I know there's videos on YouTube you can find. Like if you want to look at a French assessment of the 2011 Rugby World Cup final and all the times New Zealand got the benefit from the referee, there's a video for that. It wasn't made officially by the French team, but you can certainly find that kind of thing if you want to look for it. It's kind of become a thing on social media these days where refereeing decisions get scrutinized under a lot more detail. At least people have got more access to the footage to really kind of run things frame by frame and find all those errors. And we do need to remember, it's a rubbish job being a ref, man. Like, imagine a job where the best result you can get as a ref is people not really mentioning you. Like you do a job, if you're a student and you get good grades, or if you're a supermarket employee and you stock the shelves faster than anybody, you're a project manager and your project comes in under budget and earlier than expected, you expect praise, you expect a bonus. As a ref, the best you're going to get is, that was good. You're going to get a shrug of the shoulders and nobody's talking about you. That's pretty much the best you can expect. And if you muck stuff up, you can expect that feedback. So Nic Berry certainly got a fair bit of that. I wouldn't want to be Ben O'Keefe. He is the ref for this weekend. He was under the microscope recently with the France and Australia games. So he's certainly going to be under the microscope a lot more for this weekend. It is honestly a pretty thankless job being a ref. But funnily enough, we need refs to play rugby. So, I know there's people who say we should be able to kind of critique the refs a lot more, and they are protected. It's a tough one, man, because like I say, it's tough to only be able to get the critique and never really get the praise, because it's a job without a lot of praise, and they do their internal reviews. There may be better ways to do it in terms of being able to kind of promote or demote refs based on their performance. I think they do a bit of that internally, but it's all a bit cloak and dagger. It'd be kind of nice to know who's the top dog ref, and I don't know if they had their own stats on how much they were calling correctly or whatnot. I don't know if how much of that should be publicly available. As I said, it's a tough enough job without adding public critique to it. So, yeah, we will see how things go. World Rugby's going to respond, but they're not saying anything at the moment other than that they'll kind of look into it. But, yeah, like I said, in terms of the precedent, I wouldn't like to see it happening kind of all the time, because I think both sides could probably come out with videos that would show infringements both ways. But as I said, Rassie makes a few fair points, absolutely, in this game. And if his overall goal was to even that playing field that maybe Warren had set a bit tilted in the pre-match stuff, I think he got what he was after. But anyway, you guys let me know what you reckon. As I said, I don't think it's black and white. I don't think much in life ever goes all that black and white, but social media stuff tends to get a bit black and white in its viewpoint. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. Do you think this is advantage Springboks in terms of the officiating at the weekend, or is it just going to level the playing field? And yeah, I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.